This is the iFlight Cidora SL5-E, and in a previous video I did a really in-depth PID tune on this quadcopter without realizing that I was using the wrong voltage of batteries. Yep, this quadcopter has motors made for 6S batteries, and I did a whole PID tune using 4S batteries, and I got it flying pretty good, I gotta say. But today we're gonna go back and we're gonna make the video that I meant to make. I have actual proper 6S batteries, and we're gonna do a Betaflight 4.2 6S 1800 kV PID tune on the iFlight Cidora SL5-E. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're gonna learn something today. You're gonna learn I can count to 6. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to reset this guy back to defaults, so then I can start from scratch. So now we're back to defaults, and the first thing I'm going to do when I PID tune any craft these days is there are a couple changes that I know I'm going to make. Let me show you what those are. In the configuration tab, I want bidirectional D-shot enabled, and I need to set the number of motor poles correctly. I've got a separate video about how to set up bidirectional D-shot. It's a fairly involved process, although these days, as long as you have a newer firmware on your ESC, you actually may just be ready to go. It may be pretty easy. Link in the video description to how to set up RPM filtering. So RPM filtering or bidirectional D-shot is now enabled. Air mode is turned on. Air mode increases authority at 0 throttle. If you ever drop the throttle to 0 with air mode off, the quad will just kind of fall out of the sky. I like air mode to be on pretty much all the time. If we go to the PID tuning tab, I'm going to leave these sliders at 1.0. I'm going to fly the default PIDs and see how they fly. I pretty much always do that with any new version of Betaflight because I just like to see what the devs have come up with. But I am going to turn off D-min. D-min, I got another video about D-min. Link in the video description if you want to learn about what D-min is and how it works. The short version is that D-min lets you have higher D-gain without getting hot motors. On most of the builds that I fly, the motors are pretty cool regardless, so having D-min on just adds a potential source of problems. I'm going to turn it off, and I usually leave it off. If you ever have super hot motors and you need super high D-gain, turning D-min on can help cool it down. It's on by default. Here in the filter settings, I'm going to take my sliders and I'm going to move my sliders all the way to the right to 2.0. This is the least amount of filtering that Betaflight will let you get away with, and having less filtering means that you'll get better prop wash handling, but you'll have warmer or hotter motors if the quad has excess vibration. On all the new quads that I've built and all the good quality ready to fly quads, this is not a problem to run it at 2.0. If you have beat up motors, beat up props, a beat up loose frame, this could cause hot motors, smoked motors, or flyaway, so you do this at your own risk. The very first time you fly a quad after setting the filter sliders to 2.0, stand well back, be ready for it to go to the moon, arm the quad, listen to the motors. Do they sound angry? Are they kind of going, or are they just going, and then as you take off, be ready to disarm, and then do a little flight and check for hot motors to make sure you haven't smoked your motors. But I fly basically all my quads with filter sliders set to 2.0. I wish they'd let me go further. If you can't set your filter sliders to 2.0, come up here to the upper right and make sure that expert mode is enabled. In fact, I just permanently enable expert mode. Here's the expert mode slider. They won't let you go past 1.5 or something if you don't have that enabled. Now, since we are using bidirectional D-shot, the gyro RPM filter is also enabled, and I'm going to leave this at its default settings. And then for the dynamic notch, we're going to want to set the dynamic notch width percent to 0, the Q to 250, the min to 90, and the max to 350. Those are the settings for a 5-inch quad like the one we're flying. The only one of those that's going to change is if you're flying a smaller quad or a larger quad, you may need to change the max value. Enough said about that for now. So I'm going to hit save. And that's it. I think I'm going to go fly it now. Let's just make sure, since I just put the props on, that I haven't put the props on wrong. Seems like I didn't. And we're going to take her up for a fly. Now, if you have seen Stinger Swarm's PID tuning method or Mark Spatz's PID tuning method, they do stuff a little like really sort of organized. Like they'll go look for bounce back and so forth, and they'll lower the D gains and so forth. Frankly, I'm not trying to get the quad to be like perfectly responsive, you know, to min-max the PIDs. I just want the damn thing to fly well enough that I can go fly. So like right now, I'm getting just perfect stops. Lower the throttle all the way, just rock solid dead stops. Now at this point, I could like go, well, could I lower the P gain even more? Could I look at the black box and see if I could improve the responsiveness? I don't care. A little bounce on pitch. I had that problem. I had that problem on 4S too. How about prop wash oscillation? So, gonna go big, get in the throttle and see. In case some people have said they don't know what prop wash oscillation is. Here's prop wash oscillation. You see how it kind of wobbled a little when I raised? We get a big jump, a big jump. Well, didn't get much prop wash oscillation there. The other place you get prop wash oscillation is in a sharp turn. Let me see if I can bring some out. Nope. Okay, well, it's flying perfect. Damn, none. You'll hear kind of like a whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, phooey. Joshua practicing his reflexes. Sorry about that, sir. Damn, son. Betaflight 4.2, what the fuck? Oh, wow. You know, I think one of the reasons I didn't notice that I was flying on 4S when I did the other video is that I had been flying on Mr. Steele's Kiss Quad, and that thing is razor sharp. So when I switched to the Cidora and it was soft, I thought, oh, well, this is just how soft Betaflight is. I didn't think, oh, well, maybe I'm on 4S batteries. I don't know. I guess I just blamed it on Betaflight 4.2, but this is pretty good. Betaflight 4.2 on the stock battery, on the actual intended battery. Holy jeez. This is pretty good. I mean, I don't know if I would say it was, you know, that's snappy as F. I mean, that's on the default presets too. I haven't even touched the presets at all. By the way, I didn't mention this yet, but I've decided to try the S4 props instead of the S3 props. So these are slightly higher pitch props than you've seen me flying on before. The low throttle response seems okay. There's a little prop wash oscillation there. Oh, Philly. I knew I wasn't going to get that one. Grass is high. Can he get it? That's how to get up out of grass. Here's a little tip for you guys who are watching this. A little bonus tip. I'm not going to put it in the grass because I don't want to risk having to go walk for it. But if you're in the grass, you can do turtle mode. And that's going to cut the grass and clear it out a little bit. But then arm, and then kind of rock the quad a little bit, and then pop the throttle and get up. A little tip for you. Well, this is flying basically perfect. I mean, we're gonna try and make it better, but I mean, in another world, I would say, okay, if we don't have bounce back, let's raise the P gain to try and bring out the bounce back. But I don't care. about like min-maxing the PIDs. I just care that it flies good. And since it seems, and the main things I look for to say, is it flying good, is number one, if I do sharp stick moves like flips and rolls or twitchy stick moves, do I have bounce back, visible bounce back? And number two, when I lower the throttle, does it stay stable or does it kind of wobble or drift? And number three, when I jam the throttle abruptly, does it up and down, back and forth, or does it hold steady? It is accomplishing all of those things. At that point, I feel like we've just basically got it dialed in. And the next thing I want to do is tune for stick feel, to try to get it to sort of feel like I want it to feel. And that's what we're going to do. If I wanted to get rid of prop wash oscillation, I could keep going with the filtering. By having less filtering, I get better prop wash handling. And the next thing to do would be to turn off gyro low pass 2. The motors are fairly warm, not worryingly warm, not hot, but definitely warm. So I don't think I'm going to push that because my prop wash handling is pretty good. When I did those sharp turns, the motors didn't oscillate. They just were fairly smooth. So I'm not going to push that and risk making the motors hotter. I don't think that's a good benefit to risk trade-off. The next thing I'd like to do to play with stick feel is mess with the Iterm Relax. And what Iterm Relax does is it helps solve the problem of bounce back at the end of flips and rolls caused by a thing called Iterm windup. The higher the Iterm Relax, the stiffer the quad will feel. The lower the Iterm Relax, the more loose the quad will feel. And I usually like to stiffen it up just a little bit. When I flew this previously, I had an Iterm Relax of 20. I tried 25 and I thought it was too stiff. This is purely subjective. There's no right or wrong as long as you're not having bounce back. If you're having excess bounce back, you may want to reduce this number. But I'm going to raise this number just a little bit to stiffen up the quad. The other thing I like to do is raise the stick response gain. Stick response, another name for that is feed forward. It controls this parameter up here. And feed forward boosts the PID. It injects more into the PID controller. It's a terrible way of putting it. Higher stick response gain gives you a sharper stick feel. Lower stick response gain gives you a smoother stick feel, which many freestyle pilots and cinematic pilots actually really like to lower the stick response gain and get a smoother stick feel. But I prefer a sharper stick feel, even for freestyle. I like to raise it. I'm going to boost this up to about 1.3, and let's just see how that goes. So I want you to notice what I've done here is I've raised the Iterm Relax cutoff, which is stiffening up the quad. And I've raised the stick response gain, which lets my stick movements push the quad harder. And those two things give a kind of a tight, but also responsive feel, and that's kind of what I'm going for. What I'm going to do here is I am going to, obviously, subjectively, I'm just going to see if it feels how I want it to feel. But I'm also going to look for any bad effects that my changes might have made. So I'm going to recheck. I'm going to recheck the things I already checked. So let's do a rock solid when I drop the throttle. No bobble or anything there. Good. Still a little bounce on pitch, but pretty good. And hold steady when I hit the throttle. So now I'm just going to look for the stick feel. And the best place to figure out stick feel is to do sharp, precise turns. I can feel the slight increase in stiffness from the Iterm Relax change. And I don't know if I love it. I might want more feed. I got a bug on my arm, damn it. I might want more feed forward to counteract it. Oh my god, the bug's still on my arm. Hang on. I might want more feed forward to counteract that, or I might just want to back it down. Maybe I don't want this to be stiff like that. I don't know. It's a good question. I'm gonna do some sharp, kind of, some cornering. The S4 props, I think I can feel a difference in the cornering, but also a slight difference in the throttle control. The low throttle precision. Where am I going here? Well, that was pretty precise, but also kind of lost my Oh, phooey. Oh, really? Damn you. Turtle mode. Oh. Turn away from the grass. RSSI low. Did I chop an antenna? No way. Oh, wow, I must have chopped the antenna. That's annoying. Let's go check on this problem. That sucks. That would suck if I did that. Oh, yeah. Damn. That's the worst. And that is why I don't put my flippin' antennas out the back like that. That's why. I'm just gonna fly it. You silly? I'm just gonna send it. But that's why. Since we're back here anyway, and in the interest of science, let's tweak this a little more. I'm gonna take the Iterm Relax cutoff, I'm gonna put it back down at 15. I don't know if the stiffer feel was really working for me. I'm gonna leave the stick response gain where it is, and let's just see what happens if we start cranking the master multiplier up. Like, let's just see what happens. Let's just have some fun now. So now the master multiplier is going to 1.2. Let's do it. So when I arm, I got beat up props. I'm going to be careful, and I've raised the P and the D gain. So I'm going to be... Sounds pretty bad. Does this feel better? Telemetry lost. Telemetry recovered. Yeah, see, look how rough that is. It's not as bad as it could be. There. That was prop wash oscillation for people who are like, what is it? That little unsteadiness, that little shudder there. That's a good word for it. Little shudder there. You want it to be completely smooth as it comes on, and it's not. So bad. I'd say the PID multiplier is, I think it's better. Now you got a little bounce there. Did you see that little tiny bounce back? So we got just the tiniest bounce by raising the P and the D gain. Telemetry lost. But it does feel sharper, more control, more precision as I go through the moves. I'm not sure I don't like it better. Telemetry recovered. Yeah. I'm not sure I don't like it better. Yeah, I think I like it better. So I don't think I'm going to go any further because I did see just the beginning of a bounce back at the end of the roll where there wasn't one before. But I do think that like higher PIDs will make the quad fly sharper. That did bring out the prop wash oscillation though. We don't like that. The thing to do would be to turn off that gyro filter. and that would kind of dial back the prop wash oscillation. But now we're going to let's just not go there. Let's just not go there. So let's take the master multiplier back down. Let's take it down to 1.1. I did kind of like that a little bit. Maybe if we take it to 1.1, it'll be okay. And maybe what we'll do is we'll raise the PD gain a tiny bit. So we have just a little bit more, no, the PD balance. So we have just a little bit more D gain to help control the prop wash oscillation while leaving the P gain where it is. By raising the D relative to the P, you get better prop wash oscillation control, and but hotter motors and more risk of flyaways. So let's see if that gets us somewhere good. Okay, I gotta change props. Be right back. I know I haven't given you a very methodical approach to like how to make your quad fly good. The thing is, so many quads these days fly good just on stock, and then you just kind of tweak the feel and then away you go. I don't know what to tell you. Let's see how we got flying on this guy. No prop wash there as I came over that tree. See, right there as I come on the throttle, right here, that little shudder there in the motors, that's prop wash oscillation, and that is what you want to solve it, not just because it sounds bad, but because it hurts your throttle control. Your thrust is very unsteady at that moment that it's shuddering. So you don't have good control at the moment that that's happening. I'm gonna fail safe. I shouldn't fly over the van because I'm gonna fail safe. I would say the prop wash oscillation is quite good, though. I know that everybody listening to a YouTube video picks out the tiniest fluctuation in the motors and says, prop wash is terrible, it's terrible, I can hear it. But honestly, this is pretty freaking good, I think. Let's fly it more like a race quad. I heard just a little bit of a shudder there coming over the roof. Okay, now we're just being silly. Yeah, I'd say it flies pretty good. Another place where the goodness of the tune becomes apparent is in long, arcing, descending moves like that one, where you're just constantly in a prop wash situation. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that when the quadcopter is moving backwards into the dirty, turbulent air from its own props, that's when prop wash happens. When you do a long descending arc like that, it's constantly doing that. And that in some ways is harder to tune for than just a single sharp turn where you change directions rapidly. Sounds better. Oh wow, my video's going crappy. Why did my video go crappy? Oh, geez. Oh, well, that's going to do it for today. I feel a little bit bad whenever I set out to PID tune a quad and the quad flies great right out of the box. I guess kudos to the developers who make it fly great out of the box, although I can also say not everybody is having a perfect out-of-the-box experience with Betaflight 4.2. But the good news is that if you have this exact same quad, I feel like there's a good chance you'll get the exact same results, unless you got bad, broken hardware or something. So that's nice, as opposed to me tuning some custom build that you don't have. If you do want to watch me troubleshoot a messed up Betaflight 4.2 tune, watch the previous video where I tuned this exact same quad accidentally using 4-cell batteries. I just spaced it. And as you can imagine, it didn't fly right at all on the default PIDs because these motors are made for 6S. And so you can see me struggle, and eventually overcome. And those exact same, I didn't know they had 4-cell batteries. So the exact same procedures that I try to use to solve the problem, you could use to solve those problems if you were having them on one of your quads. But that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to the Betaflight devs. I feel like this is personally, one of the best flying versions of Betaflight yet. And thank you for using my affiliate links, among other things. If you decide to buy one of these quads and follow along in my footsteps, there's a link in the video description. It's an affiliate link. That means I get a small commission whenever you make any purchase. You can buy this, you can buy whatever you want. Just click that link before you go shopping at any of my affiliated vendors, and I'll get a small commission, and it does mean a lot, costs you nothing. Happy flying, you guys, whatever you're flying. Oh, I finally broke a prop. That's gonna do it for this video. Happy flying, you guys, whatever you're flying. I'm out of here. What are you doing in here? The least you could do is subscribe or join my Patreon, or here's another video I picked out for you. Jeez.